Hi guys, it's me, Terry, from the Yarnjoy podcast. Just popping on here to give you another installment of the viewer crafting crochet tips that I've received as entries to my 1,000 subscriber giveaway that I had a few weeks ago that is now closed. But I did want to share the great crafting crocheting tips that were given as entries to that giveaway. So let's see. I'm going to start off with the next one that I left off from before, and this is from Deborah Shellhammer. And her tip says, my tip is to always leave long yarn tails on your work. And when you weave it in 3 times back and forth, and it will not come out. That's a very good tip. I'm real bad about being, I guess, frugal with my yarn when I cut the yarn, snip my yarn off when I'm finished with my project, and I always want to, I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to cut a 6-inch or whatever inch length of yarn that I'm just going to weave in the ends, because I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to waste yarn because I'm going to clip it off and throw it away or whatever. And so a lot of times I don't snip it off long enough to weave in my ends properly. Now, with all the 365 days of Graham squares that I've been doing, I'm getting a lot of practice with weaving in my ends, and so I am getting better at doing that, because I definitely want to make sure if you have a project that's got so many ends, you don't want them coming apart. So after you spent all the time making the project, so that is a great tip. Make sure you do leave a good amount. I wouldn't say 6 inches, but 4 inches maybe or more, and then when you weave in your ends, you can always snip it short. But that is a good tip to have plenty of length, and also to weave back and forth at least 3-4 times before you snip off. So that's good. Okay. The next tip, sorry, the next tip comes from Dawn Tennyson, and she says, my crochet tip is using a small plastic colander for a yarn ball bowl. And that is a great tip also. As you know, a colander is a bowl that has holes in it that you would use to drain pasta or whatever you're cooking that you need to drain the water off of. But if you use it as a yarn bowl, I could see what would be very helpful, because you put the ball in that bowl, and it keeps it from rolling around, rolling off the table, or getting away from you as you're working. Plus, if you have multiple balls, then you could possibly put them in there and then feed the yarn through the holes of the colander to keep them from getting tangle free. So anyway, that is a great tip. And you can get colanders from thrift stores for just a few cents. You can get them from probably dollar stores. So I like that. I haven't done that, but a lot of times I do end up chasing my yarn balls because they roll off the table and run off from me. So that's a good tip. Okay, the next tip is from Susan Neal, and she says, my tip is, if you're just starting out, avoid dark yarn. It's really hard to distinguish stitches at first, and that is definitely true. I have been crocheting 35 plus years, and I still do not really care for crocheting with black yarn. It is very difficult. I know they do make crochet hooks that have lights on them now. I think they're called crochet lights or something. And I do have one, and that I don't really care for the hooks with the lights in them. But if I'm crocheting with black yarn, and if it happens to be the hook size that I'm using, that I have that one hook for, I have used that, because if you have a bright light to shine on your work as you're working, it's easier to distinguish the stitches, because dark yarn is very hard to work with, to me, especially black or navy blue, stuff like that. And if you are a beginner, you definitely I would avoid using dark yarn in the beginning. You know, pick a yarn that makes you happy, that sparks joy in your heart, because that way you're wanting to work with it, but you know, let it be a light color, because it's frustrating enough to learn the stitches. You don't want to be that frustration to be multiplied because you're using a stitch, you're using yarn that is very difficult to see where you put your stitches in. And that also, I'll just add this, because that also includes yarn that is really fluffy. Like, let me show you right quick. I'll grab it. I have one right here in my shelf here. This is the Pipsqueak yarn. I think it's Bernat, and it feels wonderful, but I've used one, and the project that I used it for, I was loom knitting, because trying to figure out where, when all this is together here, where the stitch is, it's like you have to feel for it to find where this next stitch is because of the fluff. And so that goes along with using dark stitches. Definitely, I don't think for a beginner. I mean dark, I keep saying dark stitches, I mean dark colored yarn. Anyway, that's a great tip. Thank you, Susan. Okay, the next tip is from Tracy Zombie Knitter, is the channel name. Okay, her tip says, my tip for crocheting in the round to color change and not get the ugly staggered stitches. So she's talking about when you're crocheting in the round, like you're making amigurumi or a tube or something, and you're wanting to like put stripes on it, or you're trying to change colors. It is very frustrating, I guess, because when you're doing it, then you can see exactly where you changed color. It's kind of staggered, and it kind of goes up to the next round, and it's not a smooth transition or a smooth stripe around. Okay, so she says her tip is to crochet, let's see, crochet in the last stitch. You change color in the last stitch before you complete that stitch, and then you slip stitch into the next stitch that you're going to start the next colorway. Now, it's very difficult to put that into words to explain what she's talking about in it, but I did find a tutorial video on YouTube, and I'm going to link it below, so then you can please look at it and check out what she's talking about, because I found this video, and the lady that did the video is very good at explaining, and sometimes it just really helps to have a visual tips to really, so you can really see what the person is talking about. It's really hard to put into words. Even for me to explain it, it's kind of hard. But anyway, the tutorial will be down below. The name of the video is Crochet Stripes in Rounds Without an Ugly Staggered Join. So I think that's excellent. And this is funny. I need to check her channel out, because her channel name is so fun. Her channel name is Pookie Doodle Crafts. And I just found her from looking for that particular tutorial, and so I'm definitely going to go back and check out her channel to see what other kind of videos she has, because that's just that channel name is just too cute. So anyway, I will link that below, so then you can check out that and you see what Tracy is talking about in the great tip that she gave us. Tracy Zombie Knitter, thank you. Okay, now the next one is from Nancy Weber. And Nancy says, let's see, have crochet projects of different sizes, so when you're going somewhere you can determine what size projects to take along. So that's true, and for us that have multiple whips going on at the same time, it's very easy to do because I like to have a variety of different projects. I like to be working on a blanket or two, but I also like some small things, you know, either like some hats or a little wall decor like that one that I made, or some squares, some scarves, different things, different sizes of projects. And the benefit according to her tip, which I think is, I do definitely agree with that, is the benefit is that when you're going to take, you have to go to a doctor's appointment and you want to, or you're having to sit and wait for your child at music lessons or basketball practice, whatever, and you want to sit there and be crocheting while you're waiting. Well, you can't really, it's pretty difficult to take a blanket with you that you're working on, you know, if it's quite large. If it's in the beginning stages, that's fine, but if it's large, of course, you're not going to take it with you. But if you have another project that you're working on that's small, like a bag or a sock or, you know, or whatever, then it's very easy to have something grab and go, because I mean, how many of us have gone to appointments and you're there even longer than you thought you were going to be, and then you regret later because you're thinking, oh, I could have brought my crocheting with me and I could have been working on something. So that's a very good tip, Nancy, so thank you for sharing that. Okay, so the next one is from Donna Arlotta. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing these names right. So the next one says, my tip for yarn is to use a basket from the Dollar Tree and string your yarn through the holes to keep it from tangling. Of course, now that goes along, that is a great tip, and that goes along with the tip that I just discussed by Dawn Tennyson that gave us about using the colander that have holes in it to keep your yarn in. So that goes along, I think, with the same thing, because she's talking about using a basket, or sorry, allergies, I guess, a basket, or some of the things from Dollar Tree that have holes in it that you can use to string your yarn through. So that goes along with the previous viewer tip. So, but yes, it's very good tip. Okay. Sorry. Okay. The next one is Mo Carpenter, and that is Mo from Unseen Strands, I believe. So, hi. And she says, let's see, I believe. If not, sorry, Mo, if this is a different Mo, so welcome. Anyway, so my crochet tip is that once you have mastered the basic stitches using standing crochet, single, half, double, or double crochets, will make your edges way neater and more consistent than just regular old chains. So what she's saying, or he, is once you've got the basic stitches down, and when you're learning, I think she's mainly talking about like when you're going back and forth. Well, yeah, I guess when you're going back and forth, where you're going to in the row, and then beginners are always taught to use a turning chain, turn your work around and go back the other direction. Well, once you have those basic stitches and you get a little bit more experience in crocheting, Mo suggests to use what they call a standard double crochet, no, standard, I'm sorry, standing double crochet or half double crochet, whatever stitch you happen to be using that type technique instead of using a turning chain, and your edges will be a lot smoother and neater. Okay, so this one also is kind of like the other one I was talking about that Tracy had given us, that the explanation, or to try to describe what we're talking about in the tip, is more difficult than showing you. So I did find another video that I will link below, and that one is by Tamara Kelly of Moogly blog, and she has a video that demonstrates that exactly what this tip that Mo is trying to tell us. So I will link it below and you can watch that one. That one is called How to Crochet, and then it says Improved Chainless Starting Double Crochet. Okay, and so you can check that one out. I don't use that technique. I'm kind of old school, I guess, and use the turning chain, but I do see how it can make an improvement in the video, in the edges of the work, and I'm thinking that I want to try that out because I think it'll be an improvement. So let's all check that out. Okay, so let's see, go back to the tips here. I'm reading off my laptop and kind of changing from windows to windows so I can tell you about the ones I found. So anyway, okay, the next one is from a channel by the name of Undercover Yarn Snob. Okay, so this tip says, I store my yarn in plastic totes with lids. So to make all of my yarn smell lovely, roses at the moment, I put a sachet in the tote, and every time I go to start a new project, my yarn smells amazing. I think that's a wonderful idea. I don't store my yarn in totes or plastic containers, but if I do, if it was something that was closed up, I could see a benefit of that. And an example I have of that is my never-ending supply of orange yarn that I've been showing you and using forever that was given to me. When I first received it, I washed all of it. And so, oh, and the way I washed it to keep it in the skein, I got, here's a tip. I got some of the, I bought some of the knee-high stockings, just cheap from Dollar Tree or somewhere like that. And I put the skein down inside those pantyhose stockings or whatever, but it's the knee-highs, you know, little sock size, or, well, knee-highs, yeah. Anyway, I put it down in there, knotted the end of it so it wouldn't get them apart, and then I tossed it in the washing machine. So that's what I did, and it worked out fine. It freshened up the yarn and softened it up as well. But anyway, when I use it, and as I'm using it and stitching and pulling it from the skein, I can smell the scent of that detergent that I use even now, and that's been months ago when I washed them. Putting a sachet into your yarn box, you know, you could even do that probably if you do a little small sachet and throw it in your project bags as well, and everything would smell wonderful in there. So that's a great tip. Thank you. Okay, the next one that I'm going to list is from Loretta Underwood. Hello, Loretta. And her tip is to keep your hobby or craft at a relaxing pace. Stressing causes mistakes and disappointment. It is a job for some, but it should still be enjoyable. And that's very true, because crocheting is definitely my stress buster. And so I think that's a great tip. You don't have to rush and hurry yourself when you're beginning to learn all the stitches. I think that's the mistake I did when I was trying to teach myself to knit several times. I think it took me maybe 3 different attempts over the years to finally get the hang of knitting, and I'm still not that good. But anyway, just learn at a relaxing pace. Don't try to jump in and tackle very large projects with detailed stitches. I still haven't attempted a crochet cable project, although I do have my eye on one, but I've never done it. So this will be it'll be a challenge or whatever. But she's just saying to do it at a relaxing pace, because you don't want to stress. You want this to be something that you're going to enjoy and be stress relief, and so you don't want to stress yourself out trying to learn. So that's a wonderful tip. Okay, and so the next tip is from Beverly Simmons. Hi, Beverly. And her tip is that she says also that she likes to put yarn in containers to keep the yarn clean. So that goes along, of course, with some of the other tips that we've talked about as far as keeping your yarn clean and fresh by storing them properly. Okay. And let's see, I'm gonna do 2 more and then I'll let you go for now. But anyway, so the next one is from Shelly. I think it's Bucci, but I'm not positive. So I'm hoping I pronounced it right. Forgive me, Shelly, if I didn't pronounce it right. But anyway, her tip is for storage, she says. She says, store skein in an empty plastic coffee can with a hole cut in the top to put the yarn through, and that way the yarn doesn't roll over all over on the floor, which is goes along with using like either the colander with the holes, or a basket that's got holes. And she's talking about using a plastic coffee can cut with a hole cut in the top. And the goal is the goal is to keep the yarn from rolling around and falling on the floor. Okay, so I have a plastic container here, and I did have one where my husband did cut a hole in the top of the lid. Don't have the lid on it, but of course I'm using it to store scrap balls in. But that is a good idea though, and thanks for thank you, Shelly, for the tip. I was just going to say that I love repurposing containers, and I would like to do a tip video sometime to show you all the different containers that I repurpose and use for something else, as far as the things that are here in my craft room. So maybe I'll do that if y'all think that'd be a good idea, or maybe I think I'd have enough content to make a video, so we'll see. But anyway, great tip, Shelly. Thank you for sharing. Okay, and the last one for today, because I have more. The last one for today is from Corey J. And Corey says, my tip is to watch YouTube. That's what got me going again after many years away from crochet. And I definitely agree with that, because I look up so many tutorials about how to do certain stitches, and I am left-handed. Everybody knows that. I'm always saying that. But in the beginning, years ago, it was very difficult to find a tutorial that is for left-handers that you could watch. But now, so many people do left-handed and right-handed versions that it's even easier now for everyone to benefit from YouTube videos. But you can watch or find tutorials on how to do just about everything, or anything, everything on YouTube. So definitely don't forget about searching. If you're more a visual learner than reading it in print, then check YouTube out for crochet lessons. Definitely. Okay, so that is all. I'm going to stop there. I've got more, so stay tuned. I will be making more tip videos. I just love sharing all this information with everybody. I think it's great. And then, so I'll let you go, but I just want to give you a little bit of preview of one of my new whips I just started. Last week, in my last episode, I was telling you that I had this ice cream, Lion Brand ice cream yarn. If you can see it. Hope the color is turning out really good, because it's very pretty. It's called Grape, Grape, yeah. And it's shades of purple with white, and it transitions. And so I was doing I had worked up a piece of a scarf pattern, didn't like it, pulled it out, and then I was mentioning to you that I was going to try doing a corner to corner type stitch and try a scarf that way. So I tried that. Didn't like that. I think it was just the yarn, because this is a number 3 light, so it's kind of like it's sport weight, I suppose, or baby yarn. And so those other stitches that I tried just wasn't working up great, and I just didn't like the way it was looking. So pulled it out again, tried again. But I finally found a pattern I think I'm going to go with, and I'll show you how much I did. I worked on it last night. Isn't that awesome? I think it's going to be great. I like that. I like the way it transitions. Okay, and so you can see that. Anyway, this pattern is by Moogly Blog, and it is the Chevron Lace Infinity Scarf. Ooh, it's blowing out really bad. Sorry. Wow. Okay. I don't know why it's looking bad. Maybe there. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? I don't know. But I'll link it. It doesn't look good on my screen, so I'm not sure if it looks good for you. But anyway, I will link it in the description box below, so you can check it out. But I I am enjoying, can't speak today. I'm enjoying the pattern very much, and I like the way the colors are changing, and so I think it's going to keep me from being bored. I am not one to do many scarves because it's just a long strip that just takes forever to me to put together, so I usually avoid scarves, or making them. But I really like this one, and I think it's fun to put together. It's just a 2-row repeat, and I think changing colors is going to help me stick with it. And then it is going to be an infinity scarf, so the ends will be connected together when I finish. But I will probably just work until I finish this skein, and then it'd be like a 1 skein project. So anyway, I'll show it again on Thursday when I do my video, my next episode. Anyway, so that's it. I'm gonna go so I can work on some more stuff, and oh my goodness, I was looking at the calendar, and our homeschool is going to be starting in like 2.5 weeks, I think. Where did the summer go? I mean, it's almost gone. I mean, not summer, but the summer vacation days, let's put it that way. So I need to do some more school planning, so I'm gonna go and work on that. But I think I'm gonna make me some coffee and then I will work on that. So anybody want to have a cup of coffee with me virtually? Then feel free. I think I'll have some Taste of San Antonio. Lisa, I sent Amanda and Lisa, because she's sharing, I'm glad they're sharing it, some coffee in the craft swap I did for can't speak, look at this, craft swap that I did with them, and they are from Happy to Hook Creations, so if you watched their video, you saw that they enjoyed the coffee, and so I think I'm gonna have a cup. So anyway, we'll see you on Thursday. Talk to you later. Bye.